Warning: your consciousness is being manipulated right now. And the most terrifying part? You don't even realize it. Every single day, from the moment your eyes open to the moment your thoughts blur into sleep, forces you cannot see are shaping the way you think, feel, and perceive the world around you. This isn't a metaphor. It isn't a poetic exaggeration. It's the truth. A truth that ancient civilizations knew well, and a truth that modern science, through the unshakable logic of quantum theory, is only now beginning to confirm. You are not the one holding the reins of your mind. And that should scare you, because the manipulation doesn't come as loud commands. It arrives in silence, through your phone screen, through carefully crafted language, through distractions masquerading as entertainment, through false realities so convincingly rendered, you take them as fact without ever questioning who designed them. But here's the real kicker: this manipulation isn't new. The ancients saw it. They named it. They warned about it in texts carved into temple walls and whispered in mystery schools behind closed doors. From the Egyptians to the Vedic sages, from the Hermetic philosophers to the secret teachings of early Greece, our ancestors knew consciousness wasn't just something you have. It's something that can be taken, bent, reprogrammed, fragmented, and now, with quantum mechanics tearing holes in our so-called reality, what they knew is being validated in laboratories across the world. So if you're here looking for surface-level answers, you're in the wrong place. This is not comfort food for the curious. This is raw, reality-rattling truth. We are going to unravel what consciousness really is, how it's being manipulated, who or what is behind it, and most importantly, how you can take it back. By the end of this video, you will have seen the patterns. You will have felt the strings. And you will have come face to face with the evidence that proves your consciousness is not just being observed. It's being hijacked. And the most mind-bending part of all? Quantum proof exists. But before we get there, we need to go back. Way back. Before the microscope, before electricity, before any notion of science existed, there was already a powerful understanding of consciousness. It was not seen as a byproduct of the brain or a chemical fluke of evolution. Consciousness was sacred. Consciousness was cosmic. Consciousness was the true battleground. Let's begin with one of the most enigmatic cultures in human history, the Egyptians. To them, the soul wasn't one thing. It was two, the Ba and the Ka. The Ba was the personality, the individuality, the spiritual essence that traveled between realms. The Ka, on the other hand, was the life force, the vital energy that connected the person to the divine order. And here's the key: they believed these aspects could be manipulated separately, controlled, even trapped. The splitting of soul was not fantasy. It was structure. Through rituals, architecture, and spoken incantations, they encoded their warnings. That your Ba could be deceived while your Ka remained ignorant. That if you didn't unify these aspects, you became vulnerable not just in life, but in death. And now, with modern psychology talking about the conscious and subconscious mind. With neuroscience uncovering split-brain phenomena and dissociative identity states. The Egyptians start to sound less like mystics and more like pioneers of consciousness engineering. Now move to the Hermetic teachings. These weren't vague philosophies. They were blueprints. Two principles in particular change everything. The all is mind. As above, so below. The first reveals that everything in the universe is mental in origin. Reality itself is thought, meaning you do not live in a physical universe with occasional mental experiences. You live inside a mental construct that gives the illusion of physicality. The second? It's the original code of correspondence. That what happens on one level within you reflects on all levels from cells to stars. It means that if someone can control your mind, they can control your reality. And by extension, the world. This isn't ancient poetry. This is the foundation for the manipulation we're seeing today. Let's go deeper into the Vedic understanding of Maya. Maya is often simplified as illusion, but that word fails to capture the scale of its meaning. Maya isn't just a trick of the senses, it is the active distortion of reality. A veil, projection, a mechanism by which you see not what is real, but what has been constructed for you. According to these ancient sages, the senses are the first trap. What you see, hear, smell, and touch is already filtered through layers of illusion. And unless you possess higher awareness, unless you train your consciousness to pierce through Maya, you remain a puppet. Thinking your thoughts are yours. Thinking your choices are free. Even more disturbing is that Maya isn't passive. It's adaptive. The more advanced your civilization becomes, the more sophisticated the illusion becomes. The same way a mirage on the road sharpens with heat, the illusion of control grows stronger with technology. And right now, in the age of AI, social media, and infinite distraction, Maya is thriving. Now enter the ancient Greek mystery schools. Not taught in public forums. Not etched in the walls of temples for all to see. These teachings were hidden, reserved for those deemed ready to face the truth. Plato spoke of shadows on the wall. But this wasn't just an allegory about ignorance. It was a subtle admission that the masses were being shown reflections, distorted versions of the real. And only through inner work, guided knowledge, and direct experience could the initiate break free from the constructed lie. Their rituals, designed to break the mind, to shatter the illusion, to force contact with raw consciousness unfiltered by external control. These were not ceremonies of entertainment. They were psychological weapons against manipulation. The teachings all converge on one chilling reality. Consciousness can be split, can be controlled, can be fooled. And if you don't know how it's happening, it's already happening to you. Across continents, cultures, and centuries, these ancient traditions warned us. They didn't just offer metaphors. They left maps, symbols, systems. They were telling us your consciousness is not yours by default. It is something to be earned, protected, shielded. Today we scroll, we watch, we accept, but they resisted. And now, quantum physics is giving us the scientific vocabulary to describe what they already knew in metaphysical terms. The illusion is real. The manipulation is measurable. The threat is undeniable. And the most terrifying part? This was only the beginning. The illusion is not just around you. It's inside you. You wake up. You reach for your phone. You scroll through content designed to trigger, stimulate, and capture your attention. You begin your day not with clarity, but with noise. And that's not accidental. It's strategic. The mechanics of your consciousness are being twisted, bent, and molded every single day. Not through force, but through fragmentation. The human mind was never designed to process the volume of information being hurled at it. Thousands of notifications, endless ads, constant interruptions, each one tiny and forgettable on its own, but devastating in accumulation. This is not just distraction. It's fragmentation. When your attention is split into 1,000 pieces, your consciousness is no longer unified. And once it's fragmented, it's easy to control. The ancient world warned of this. But now the manipulators wear suits. Their temples are office buildings. Their incantations are algorithms. And they don't need your permission. They already have your attention. Think about it. The average person today is bombarded with more data in 24 hours than someone from the 15th century encountered in their entire lifetime. But this overload isn't accidental. It's been engineered. This brings us to social engineering. At its core, social engineering is the use of psychological manipulation to influence behavior. It's not just used by scammers and hackers. It's used by governments, corporations, institutions, news outlets. The goal is simple: shape public perception, control consensus reality. By crafting narratives, controlling information flows, and exploiting emotional triggers, social engineers don't just tell you what to think. They tell you how to think. They make you believe your opinions are your own, that your choices are free. But beneath it all, the structure is fixed. Your role is assigned. Your reactions are predicted. The most powerful example of this manipulation? Language. The words you use define the boundaries of your perception. And that's not philosophical, it's scientifically validated by the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. This theory proposes that the structure of a language affects its speaker's worldview. If you don't have a word for something, it becomes harder to conceptualize, harder to see. Control the vocabulary. And you control the thoughts. This is why certain ideas are banned, why certain phrases are repeated endlessly, why emotionally charged labels are attached to complex issues. Because language isn't just how we speak, it's how we frame reality. The manipulation goes deeper. Repetition, symbolism, subconscious programming. Your subconscious mind, silent, powerful, and always watching, is being trained through repeated exposure. You hear a message once, and it registers faintly. You hear it 10 times, and it becomes familiar. You hear it 100 times, and it becomes truth. That's how propaganda works. But it's also how product advertising works. And it's how personal belief systems are engineered. Symbols are embedded in logos. Messages are layered into entertainment. Emotions are attached to images, songs, and slogans. Over time, you associate certain feelings with certain triggers. You become conditioned, predictable. This is not accidental. It is architecture. Let's pull back even further. Your environment is designed to reduce critical thought, to keep you distracted, anxious, reactive. Whether it's the chaotic layout of modern cities, the blinking lights of social media, or the endless flood of clickbait and noise, the result is the same: fractured awareness. And once your awareness is fractured, your choices are no longer sovereign. You react, you scroll, you comply. There's a reason why ancient systems focused on inner stillness. Meditation, mantras, breath work. These weren't spiritual decorations, they were weapons of consciousness protection. Because the moment your awareness becomes still, manipulation loses its grip. But modern society thrives on speed, constant motion, constant novelty. You are encouraged to always look outside, never inside. Because inside, that's where your power is. That's where sovereignty lives. It goes even deeper. Consider the algorithms running your digital life. They track everything. Your clicks, pauses, preferences, and even hesitations. And then they sculpt a world around you. A filtered version of reality that feeds your biases, strengthens your fears, cements your beliefs. It's not just a bubble. It's a cage. And the bars are invisible. The illusion is no longer just in the content. It's in the architecture of your reality. When your feed only shows you what confirms your worldview, you stop questioning. When your news source only delivers outrage, you stop thinking. When your entertainment is designed for instant pleasure, you stop seeking depth. The system doesn't need to convince you. It just needs to exhaust you, weaken your discernment, replace your intuition with noise. And over time, you forget. Forget what clarity feels like. Forget what stillness sounds like. Forget that you were once sovereign. But there's something even more disturbing, even more invasive, even more complete. It's not just your attention they want. It's your identity. Through digital profiles, you're being mirrored back to yourself. A false self constructed from data points and reactions. Over time, you begin to conform not to your truth but to your algorithm. You become a reflection of your digital echo. This is manipulation on a quantum level. The very act of observing your behavior changes your behavior. You are being shaped, recoded, and all without your conscious consent. You begin to mistake convenience for truth. You begin to crave simplicity over substance. You begin to forget the depth of your own mind. And when the mind forgets itself, it becomes a tool for someone else's agenda. But now you see it. You feel the cracks in the illusion. You sense the patterns. And there's a reason for that. Because somewhere deep within you, there's a signal that can't be silenced. A spark that remembers. A pulse that rejects falsehood. That's the part of you they can't reach unless you surrender it. The truth is brutal. The system is clever. But your awareness is stronger. The manipulation isn't new. The tactics aren't original. But the consequences, they've never been this extreme. And just when you think you understand how deep the control goes, quantum physics steps in to reveal just how far the rabbit hole really stretches. The illusion is not just psychological. It's not just social. It's woven into the very fabric of reality itself. And in the next moment, you'll see why. Science has now proven what mystics have always known. Consciousness creates reality. Your thoughts are not private whispers in a silent universe. They are waves, ripples in the quantum fabric of existence. And each one shapes reality. The manipulation of consciousness is no longer limited to psychology or culture. It has reached the subatomic level, the realm where matter and energy no longer behave like fixed objects, but like probabilities, potentials, possibilities. It is here, in the strange terrain of quantum physics, that the hidden control over your consciousness is exposed in full. It begins with the observer effect. In quantum experiments, particles behave differently when they're being observed. This is not metaphor. This is measurable fact. At the subatomic level, the presence of a conscious observer determines whether a particle exists as a wave of potential or a fixed point of reality. The implication is staggering. Consciousness doesn't just witness reality, it influences it. Now ask yourself if merely observing changes reality. What happens when your observation is manipulated? When your focus is controlled? When your perception is curated? You are no longer the sovereign observer. You become an extension of someone else's design. You are still manifesting reality, but it's not yours. The ancient teachings knew this long before science caught up. Hermetic texts said it plainly. The all is mind. The Vedic seers spoke of Maya, the illusion that cloaks the truth. They weren't guessing. They were describing what quantum science now affirms. In quantum physics, everything exists in a state of superposition, multiple states at once, until observed. The act of focus collapses these probabilities into a single outcome. That's creation. That's manifestation. But when your focus is hijacked, your manifestation is no longer free. The double-slit experiment demonstrates this perfectly. When particles are fired at a barrier with two slits, they behave like waves, interfering with themselves until a measuring device is introduced. The moment they're observed, they switch to behaving like particles. The mere act of observation changes their behavior. You are the observer. You are collapsing waveforms every second. And when your perception is filtered through fear, distraction, or manipulation, the reality you collapse into form is no longer aligned with your truth. The controllers know this. They understand that the human mind is not passive, it's generative. It doesn't just reflect the world, it builds it. That's why controlling your perception is the highest form of power. It's not about convincing you, it's about focusing you, because wherever your focus goes, energy flows. Now consider quantum entanglement. Two particles can be linked in such a way that when one changes, the other responds instantly, regardless of distance. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But this is no fantasy. It's physics. What this suggests is that consciousness is not isolated. It is not individual. It is shared. A vast, interconnected field. So when one mind is manipulated, the ripple spreads. Mass media, social networks, viral outrage, all of these operate on the same principle, entanglement. When a dominant narrative is imprinted on the collective field, it resonates through countless minds, instantaneously. The illusion becomes global, and most never realize it. But here's the twist. The same entanglement that's used to manipulate can also be used to awaken. When a single consciousness breaks the spell, that clarity radiates outward. When awareness is reclaimed, it echoes. This is why awakening is feared. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's contagious. Quantum physics is not just weird science. It is the blueprint of your potential. It reveals what the ancient adepts always protected. Your power is not symbolic. It is literal. You are a quantum being. Your consciousness is entangled with all others. Your focus collapses the infinite into form. Your thoughts generate fields of reality. And that is why manipulation is constant. Because the moment you remember who you are, the illusion begins to crack. Now bring this together, quantum field theory. In this model, everything, particles, forces, even space itself, is a vibration in an underlying field. Reality is not made of things. It is made of fields. And consciousness is the interface that collapses those fields into experience. Your thoughts vibrate. Your emotions emit frequencies. Your beliefs shape resonance. You are not reacting to reality. You are participating in its construction. This is not philosophy. This is measurable, testable, scientific, and yet it is hidden. Hidden beneath distractions. Beneath education systems that reduce reality to mechanical parts. Beneath media narratives that keep you locked in fear. Because when you understand quantum truth, the spell of manipulation dissolves. You stop seeking truth outside. You begin sensing it inside. And that's where the danger lies, for those who wish to control you. The old world thrives on fixed beliefs, on rigid perception, on blind obedience. Quantum awareness dismantles that. It reveals that your mind is not a container. It is a projector. That time is not fixed. It is elastic. That space is not empty. It is intelligent. This is the real awakening, when you see that your consciousness is the sculptor of your reality. And that the entire system of manipulation is a desperate attempt to stop you from realizing it. You were never powerless. You were never alone. You were never meant to follow. You were meant to observe, to focus, to create. And now that you see the quantum connection, the next veil is ready to fall. Because in your daily life, right now, the signs are everywhere. The fingerprints of manipulation are hiding in plain sight. You just haven't been trained to see them. Until now, you're not just being distracted. You're being directed. Every moment you move through the world, you're immersed in a carefully engineered environment. But you've been trained not to notice. Because the illusion doesn't demand belief, it depends on blindness. You check your phone. You scroll for updates. But what you receive is not information. It's filtration. You're shown what the algorithm decides you should see. And what you're not shown shapes you even more. This is not a glitch. It's the architecture of manipulation. Take a deep breath. Look around. The control is subtle but absolute. Start with algorithms. These are not neutral systems. They're designed to create self-contained reality loops. Everything you engage with is recorded, categorized, and used to feed you more of what you already believe. That might feel convenient, but it's not service, it's containment. These loops become echo chambers, where dissenting voices vanish and confirmation is constant. You begin to believe that your view of the world is complete. But in truth, you're seeing a slice of a slice, curated, sharpened, and served back to you in a way that ensures you don't question the larger construct. This creates cognitive isolation. You are surrounded by digital reflections of your own assumptions. You're not just seeing reality. You're seeing a carefully polished mirror. And while you're staring at the mirror, the real world is being shaped without your input. Now look at language manipulation in headlines. Short, emotional, tribal. Words that trigger fight or flight responses. Emotional bait designed to bypass critical thinking. Complex issues are reduced to black and white binaries. Nuance disappears. Judgment intensifies. The system thrives when you react, not when you reflect. But it doesn't end at information. It extends to your environment itself. Cities are built to keep you exhausted. Lights never dim. Noise never stops. Space is congested, compressed, and saturated with subliminal tension. You're surrounded by frequencies, radio, Wi-Fi, cellular, Bluetooth. You can't see them, but your nervous system can. Your body is electrical. Your brain operates on frequency bands. And these electromagnetic fields can disrupt your natural rhythms. This is not speculation. It's backed by research. Extended exposure to certain EMFs has been linked to sleep disturbances, anxiety, concentration issues, and even immune dysfunction. Yet we move through this digital haze every day. Unshielded, unaware. But why? Because if your internal rhythms are disrupted, your consciousness becomes fragmented. Your intuition weakens. Your critical faculties become dulled. You become more reactive and more programmable. Let's go deeper. Look at the color schemes of social media platforms. Reds trigger urgency. Blues lull you into passivity. Notification badges are deliberately designed to invoke anxiety, a burst of cortisol. This biochemical response ensures you stay hooked. Not because it's pleasurable, but because it's addictive. Every beep, buzz, and banner is a nudge, a micro-instruction. Now zoom out. Consider education systems. You're taught what to think, not how to think. Tests measure memory, not insight. Conformity is rewarded. Questioning is penalized. The goal is not understanding, it's obedience. From an early age, your perception is sculpted. Your attention is trained to move in straight lines. Your ability to question is redirected into systems of control. And this bleeds into adulthood. News becomes entertainment. Debate becomes performance. Truth becomes optional. The result? A population that's informed but unaware. Connected but not awake. Stimulated but not sovereign. Now examine advertising. Every ad you see is designed to create lack. It's never about the product. It's about triggering a sense that something is missing, that you are incomplete, that fulfillment lies outside yourself. And once that seed is planted, you start looking outward for answers. And in doing so, you stop listening to the still voice within. This is not chaos. It's choreography. Your nervous system is being tuned like an instrument. The manipulation doesn't require force. It relies on patterns, repetition, familiarity. The more often you see a message, the more your brain registers it as truth. Now pause, step back, and begin the pattern recognition. Start asking, why do certain topics dominate the headlines simultaneously? Why do trending videos across platforms mirror the same values, the same tone, the same rhythm? Why are dissenting voices removed with vague justifications? Why do your feeds create emotional spikes rather than depth? Because manipulation is most effective when it feels like your idea. But here's the key. Once you start seeing the pattern, the power begins to shift. Start training your awareness. Run a simple mental exercise. Whenever something grabs your attention, pause. Ask, who benefits from me focusing on this? What emotion is being activated right now? Is this expanding my consciousness or narrowing it? These questions begin to fracture the spell. Start noticing linguistic patterns. How certain words appear in unison across articles, platforms, and talking heads. This is not coincidence. It is semantic framing, a method of embedding ideas beneath conscious awareness. Start paying attention to symbols, corporate logos, entertainment motifs, recurring shapes and numbers. They are not decorations. They are anchors for archetypal ideas, imprints on your subconscious. The more you notice them, the less control they hold. Start listening to your body. When you scroll endlessly and feel a tightness in your chest, ask why. When you consume content and feel drained instead of inspired, take note. Your body is a detection device, a compass that senses energetic distortion. All of this is evidence, not abstract theory, but real, tangible, personal proof. You've been living inside a simulation not of technology but of perception. And now that the veil is lifting, the world starts to feel different. The sky seems clearer. The noise seems louder. The manipulation becomes unmistakable, because you can't unsee the truth. But awareness alone is not enough. You must protect it, strengthen it, refine it, because now that you know you're being manipulated, the next step is mastering the shield. You can't be controlled if you're fully conscious. The veil is torn. You've seen the quantum strings behind the puppet show, but knowledge is only half the equation. The real shift begins when you take command. Not just of what you know, but of who you are. You've been fed illusions, taught to doubt your instincts, trained to outsource your awareness. But the truth is this: you are not fragile. You are not easily broken. You are not a victim of frequency. You are a master of vibration. Let's begin with what the ancients knew. Consciousness must be shielded. This was not superstition. It was survival. Every mystery school, every temple tradition, every initiatory path began with one principle: guard the mind. Why? Because the mind is the gateway to your field, and your field is sacred. Start with meditation, not as an escape but as a weapon. Stillness is not weakness. It is strategy. In a world engineered for reaction, your silence becomes resistance. Meditation trains your focus, bringing you back into alignment with your natural frequency. Clears the noise. It filters the psychic static. It reconnects you to the signal beneath the system. And when practiced consistently, it creates a field around your consciousness, an energetic membrane. In ancient Egypt, they called it the aura of Ma'at, truth, balance, order. In the Vedic texts, it was known as pratyahara, withdrawal of senses from illusion. In Hermetic teachings, it was the state of mental transmutation, shifting thoughts from lower vibrations to higher frequencies. This isn't symbolic. This is circuitry. You are bioelectric. Your brain emits measurable waves. Your heart generates a magnetic field stronger than any other organ. When your inner state is chaotic, you are easily influenced. When your inner state is coherent, you are immune. But modern life is designed to fracture that coherence. So you must practice grounding. Bare feet on earth. Breathing with intention. Slowing your tempo. These are not spiritual luxuries. They are quantum recalibrations. Because your frequency determines your receptivity. And when you ground, you cut the static. You reconnect with the base signal of natural intelligence. But the battle isn't just energetic. It's also informational. That's why digital detox is not optional. Every hour of scrolling is an hour of mental programming. Every like, every share, every suggested for you is a breadcrumb, leading you away from your inner compass. To reclaim sovereignty, you must control your inputs. Turn off push notifications. Delete apps that steal your time. Curate your feed with surgical precision. This isn't censorship. It's conscious curation. Because just as your diet affects your body, your mental diet affects your consciousness. Now integrate critical thinking. Not the academic version, the warrior version. Ask yourself at every turn, who benefits from this narrative? Is this expanding or contracting my awareness? Am I reacting or responding? The system thrives on knee-jerk emotion. But when you pause and interrogate the signal, you collapse the manipulation. Even more powerful, rewrite your inner language. You've absorbed phrases your whole life that reinforce limitation. I can't. I'm just one person. That's how it's always been. Each of these is a spell. Break the spell. Replace them with quantum language. I create. I choose. I tune into truth. Every word you speak generates frequency. Speak as the architect, not the captive. And remember, your breath is the bridge. When you feel pulled into the storm, pause and breathe. Slow, deep, deliberate. This shifts your nervous system out of fight or flight and into coherence. It anchors you back into your body. It returns your mind to the present. No manipulation can survive in the fully present mind. Now sharpen your field with conscious ritual. You don't need robes or altars. Light a candle and focus your thoughts. Cleanse your space with intention. Repeat affirmations that realign your frequency. These are not empty actions, they are commands to your subconscious. And your subconscious is the bridge between the seen and unseen. Most importantly, develop quantum awareness. Start observing patterns, not just events. Look for synchronicity. Listen for resonance. Trust the knowing that arises without logic. Because quantum awareness isn't about analysis. It's about alignment. When you are in alignment, truth finds you. When you are in alignment, deception becomes obvious. When you are in alignment, control loses its grip. You are not here to obey the frequency of the herd. You are here to broadcast a higher signal. That begins with consistency, not perfection, not mystical powers, just daily practice. Every time you sit in silence, you resist programming. Every time you question a narrative, you fracture the illusion. Every time you trust your intuition, you break the system. The manipulators want you to believe that consciousness is weak, that awareness is rare, that resistance is futile. But that is the final lie. You are infinite consciousness localized in human form. You are the signal beneath the static. You are the observer, the architect, the creator. And no algorithm can touch you. No narrative can override you. No frequency can distort you. When you are fully present, fully aware, fully aligned, this is how you protect yourself. This is how you reclaim your sovereignty. This is how you awaken. The quantum field responds to coherence. And the moment you remember who you are, the field shifts. The quantum proof has always been inside you. You've seen behind the curtain. You've tracked the architecture of deception, woven through ancient whispers and scientific revelations. You now know the truth. Your consciousness is not simply under attack. It's the target of the entire system. But here's the paradox that shatters the illusion. The very thing being manipulated is also the only force powerful enough to break the manipulation. Your awareness is the variable that quantum physics never fully explains. And yet, it's the key that unlocks the equation. The observer effect shows that your attention alters outcomes. Quantum entanglement proves that connection transcends space and time. The double-slit experiment reveals that choice and expectation shape reality. This is not metaphor. This is quantum proof. Your consciousness bends the structure of the universe. And the manipulators know this. That's why they flood your attention with noise. Why they fracture your focus with distraction. Why they saturate your senses with synthetic frequency. Because the more divided your perception becomes, the easier it is to shape your reality without your consent. But now everything has changed. You've walked through the ancient gateways, the teachings of Egypt, the Vedic masters, the Hermetic adepts, and the mystery schools of Greece. You've decoded the modern distortions, algorithms, linguistic engineering, symbolic overlays. You've witnessed the quantum mirror. And you've recognized your own reflection within it. So what now? Now you reclaim your throne. Mental sovereignty is not a theory, it's a practice. You begin by observing every thought, every word, every trigger. You ask, is this mine? Or was it placed here? And then you choose again. You write a new mental code. You attune your energy to coherence, not chaos. Because the quantum field listens. And it does not respond to fear. It responds to frequency. When your frequency is rooted in clarity, authenticity, and awareness, the manipulation collapses, not by force, but by resonance. This is how you reclaim your sovereignty, not by fighting the illusion, but by transcending it. You are not the puppet. You are the string. You are not the echo. You are the voice before the sound. And the world has been waiting for you to wake up. So here is your call to action. Protect your consciousness daily. Meditate. Ground. Disconnect from the synthetic current. Curate your inputs. Question everything. Speak only what aligns. Use your body like an antenna, your breath like a shield, and your mind like a tuning fork. Practice radical awareness. Not once, not sometimes, but as a lifestyle, because the programming never stops. But neither does your power. The shift isn't coming. It's already here. It begins with one choice, again and again, to remain awake in a world designed to put you to sleep. Drop a comment and claim your awareness. Because this conversation doesn't end here, it begins here. And we are many. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are not a passive observer in this universe. You are the quantum variable. You are the ancient code. You are the awakened signal in the sea of static. And now, they can no longer manipulate what is fully conscious. Stay aware. Stay sovereign. Stay tuned.